Some relationships don't fall apart because love runs out, but because two people use each other to fill the empty spaces inside themselves. When that happens, love is no longer a meeting of two souls. It becomes a mirror that exposes the deepest, most hidden loneliness within. And this is where Carl Jung helps us see love not as an emotion, but as a journey of inner maturity. Many people believe love begins with a grand gesture, a confession, a romantic act, a visible sacrifice. But in reality, especially in more mature stages of life, love rarely begins with noise. It begins quietly, in the way one person shows up for another, not just physically present, but emotionally present, through attention, through listening, through the feeling of, I don't need to perform when I'm with you. When someone is grounded in their inner world, they don't need to try to love or to be loved. That calm presence becomes the deepest foundation of mature love. From that presence, a very different kind of attraction emerges. Not loud, not flashy, not something that needs to be proven. People with inner wholeness often speak little about themselves, yet others feel at ease around them. They don't impress through achievements or promises, but through consistency between what they think, what they say, and how they live. Being near them feels honest and safe, as if there's no need to stay guarded. This kind of attraction doesn't come from appearance or social skill, but from an inner life that is already full, not dependent on anyone else's gaze for its sense of worth. When inner wholeness is present, the next thing that naturally follows is the feeling of being seen. For many women, opening up doesn't come from sweet words or dramatic gestures, but from a quiet sense of safety. Safety to speak honestly. Safety to be silent without being misunderstood. Safety to be oneself without fear of judgment. When a woman feels that her emotions are not dismissed, corrected, or denied, a deep inner door opens on its own. This is not weakness. It is trust. And in that moment, when someone is truly seen as who they are, love begins to take a clearer shape, not as a sudden emotion, but as a place to return to. That sense of safety is rarely created through long explanations, but through eye contact and the quality of listening. A gaze that isn't rushed, isn't evaluating, but simply there, long enough for the other person to feel they are not being overlooked. A kind of listening that isn't about arguing back or fixing, but about understanding. In moments like these, words become unnecessary. Two people connect at a deeper level, where emotions are recognized before they are named. This quiet presence is what creates a bond strong enough to outlast beautiful language or romantic speeches. When a bond becomes deep enough, the difference between masculine and feminine energy becomes more visible, and if it isn't understood properly, it can easily create misunderstanding. Many people tend to move quickly, to fix things, to push forward, believing that immediate action is a form of care. Feminine energy, however, often needs to slow down. It needs time to feel, to let emotions settle, to allow what is happening inside to surface naturally. One side seeks clarity through action, the other seeks safety through feeling. When these two rhythms don't collide but learn to wait for one another, love finally has the space to mature. As these rhythms begin to meet, love reveals a deeper nature. It is no longer just a pleasant harmony, but a quiet mirror reflecting parts of each person they may have never fully faced within themselves. Unexpected reactions, emotional wounds that seem to be caused by the other, often touch unconscious material that has not yet been understood. In this intimate space, each person begins to see themselves more clearly, their fears, their unspoken expectations, the inner emptiness they may have carried for years. And if there is enough honesty, love becomes an opportunity for both people to grow. It is precisely through these reflections that an important truth emerges. Love cannot truly grow if two people come together merely to fill inner voids. When someone needs love to feel valuable, to escape loneliness, or to avoid confronting their own emptiness, the relationship eventually becomes a burden. Real love begins only when each person is already whole within themselves. no longer needing the other to patch what is missing. At that point, connection is no longer driven by fear of loss, but by free choice, staying not because one must, but because one genuinely wants to. When that choice is made, the rhythm of love changes. It is no longer rushed or driven by expectation or fear. Slowness now comes not from hesitation, but from awareness. Each step forward is fully felt. No one is pulled faster than their inner readiness allows. In this space, there is no possession, no need for control. Love is nurtured through respect and patience, where both people have the freedom to be themselves and still choose to walk together. At this deepest level, love is no longer something that can be learned through formulas or strategies. It does not operate through techniques or saying the right things at the right time, but through inner sensitivity. Love becomes an inner art, one that requires self-understanding, the ability to listen, and the courage to live truthfully. No one does things right in order to be loved. They simply become more authentic. When the inner world is cared for, love forms naturally, as something alive, not something to be controlled. If you've listened this far, perhaps part of you has already recognized that love is not something to grasp in a hurry, but a space where two people grow together. When we learn to be present, to understand ourselves, and to respect the rhythm of another, love becomes lighter and more enduring. If these reflections resonated with you, consider subscribing as a gentle promise to yourself to continue exploring your inner world, where understanding and peace are cultivated day by day.